Have you ever really thought about what it takes to build a community that doesn't just exist but actually thrives? Not just a bunch of people living in the same area, but a real, supportive network. Well, today we're going to look at a blueprint for doing exactly that. It's called the Master's Community Builder Toolbox Program, and it's all about turning that passion you have for helping people into actual, practical skills.
It's a huge question, right? Because it's so much more than just organizing a few events. We're talking about weaving together this fabric of support, creating something that can last and genuinely helps people do better. So where in the world do you even begin? What are the absolute must-haves?
Before you even get into the nuts and bolts, the program makes it clear that everything, and I mean everything, starts right here, with a simple, powerful desire to lift other people up. That's the why that fuels all the work. So the program itself is broken down into two main parts. First, the core foundations, and then the practical skills you need. Let's dig into that foundation first.
Okay, so once you have that motivation as your starting point, the program gets into laying a really solid foundation. Think of these as the core principles you absolutely have to get your head around before you can even think about building something that's going to last. The whole builder metaphor here is just perfect, isn't it? You wouldn't build a house on shaky ground. It's the same idea in community work. But here, your foundation isn't made of concrete and steel. It's a really deep understanding of how people connect, what real leadership looks like, and even the history of the land you're on. And here are the pillars of that foundation. We're talking about way more than just textbook theory. This is about real-world leadership challenges. And this last one is so important: reconciliation and nation-to-nation building. This means you're actively working to create spaces where different groups, especially Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples, can come together and build new relationships based on respect. It's absolutely fundamental for any truly inclusive community.
And that whole idea of healing and respect, it weaves through everything else. Building bridges through reconciliation isn't some separate, isolated thing. It's all connected to creating things like food security or finding healing in nature. It's all part of a holistic vision for a community's total well-being.
Exactly. See, a community that's truly strong doesn't just get by, it thrives. And that's why this foundation includes really practical things like making sure people have enough food to eat, but it goes deeper. It gets that for people to be well, they also need deeper connections, a connection to the natural world and to a shared sense of spirit.
All right, so once that solid foundation is in place, it's time to get your hands dirty. It's time to start filling up your toolbox with the specific, practical skills you need to actually go out there and make a difference. And just look at these tools. We're shifting from the what to the how. How do you handle all the complex human emotions that come up in this work? Boom, that's emotional intelligence. How do you actually pay for your great ideas? That's where fundraising and grant writing come in. And maybe most importantly, how do you know if any of it is actually working? Well, that's what program evaluation is for.
Let's be real. A big vision needs fuel to get off the ground. And a lot of the time, that fuel is money. This part is all about that super practical skill of turning your passion into a grant proposal that someone actually says yes to. But notice how it's right there next to program evaluation. It's not just about getting the check, it's about being able to prove you're making a real, measurable difference with it.
Okay, but this isn't just your grandfather's toolkit. A community builder today has to deal with today's challenges, and that means you need some really modern, maybe even surprising, skills. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. The program actually brings in tools like artificial intelligence. Just imagine using AI to figure out what a community really needs by analyzing public data, or using it to make sure resources get to the right people. That is so forward-thinking. But honestly, my favorite thing on this list is self-care. It's this powerful reminder that you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is a critical part of being able to take care of a community. So, you've got the foundation, you've got the toolbox. There's really only one thing left to do, right? It's time to actually start building.
And that's the key message here. This knowledge isn't locked away in some ivory tower. These skills, everything from understanding reconciliation to writing a killer grant, are just tools, sitting there, waiting for anyone with the heart and the passion to pick them up and use them.
So, if you feel like you're ready to go from just having a passion to putting it into practice, from having ideas to making a real impact, this is where the path starts. The program lays it all out for you. You can find everything you need to get going at the address right there on your screen.
And that really brings us full circle, back to the biggest question of all. With a solid foundation under your feet and the right set of tools in your hands, what kind of change are you going to create? What community will you build?